for today. If you would please rise where you're at and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all.
Okay, thank you all very much. At this time, we will accept any public comment for items not appearing on our agenda. If there's any public comment, we will accept it at this time. Okay, seeing no one here for public comment for items not on the agenda, we will accept public comment as each item is under consideration. We are going to move now to look for an approval of two sets of minutes, one from the June 21st Board of Commissioners meeting and also the June 15th work session. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes from the June 22nd Board of Commissioners meeting and the June 15th work session.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving both sets say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion has carried. Okay, we're going to move into our contracts, and we have for our Planning and Community Development Office several items. We're going to first begin with the 2021 Community Development Block Grant Applications, or CDBG as we know it, and this is the project selection for this upcoming year. And we will turn it over to our Director of Planning, Ray Stalinas, to see if there's any comments we'd like to make before turning it over to Mitzi Gallagher-Wong from CETA Council of Governments.
Sure. Thank you, Commissioners. Yeah, in front of you this year, we have several proposed projects that are eligible for the 2021 CDBG application. And just wanted to make note of some corrections on amounts that were listed on here. The Haynes-Arensburg Municipal Authority and Penn Township Water Tank Replacement projects, those are projects that were continued from 2020, and we have listed some amounts there of potential eligibility for 2021. The Haynes-Woodward Municipal Authority amount on the agenda is listed as $159,000. Actually, there's an overage of $165,000. I say overage because bids came in for that project over and above the amount of what they have available. So that was on the project spreadsheet as far as a corrected amount. The Haynes-Woodward Municipal Authority Waterline project, which would be a second project, that proposed amount would be $158,410 for consideration. And then lastly is the Eagle Creek project for sewer line and pump station upgrade. That total project amount is $1,288,000. And that was something for consideration due to the fact that they will potentially become an applicant for CDBG competitive, and we may want to consider them as a candidate project since that would show eligibility for competitive grants. So I just wanted to give a little bit of an overview of those amounts and projects that we've discussed in the past, and I'll let Mitzi, I think, take over from here, and I can answer any questions as we progress through the discussion.
Good morning. The total allocation that Center County has for project selection is $297,892. So you do have more ask than the allocation that you have. All the projects are great projects. Ray did review that you do have two 2020 projects that have 2020 allocation in and were built as multi-year. So they are looking to 2021 for their second allocation so that their projects can begin and they won't have a timeliness issue. As we have discussed, the Haynes-Woodward water well project, which is a 2019 project, did come in over bid. We had discussed maybe possibly putting some stimulus funding or some type of other funding to fund that project. It would be eligible for CDBG allocation, but there may be a timeliness issue if you do allocate 2021 funds and they have to wait an entire other year till you get your DCD contract. The new project that they have, they did complete their survey since the last time that we spoke. It did come in as eligible. again, you do have more ask than you have funding for, that would be a project that you could consider for next year possibly, and the survey would still be good. They would not have to go do another survey next year. And also, as Ray mentioned, the Eagle Creek project, I was able to get more information about the project. It did come in as eligible as well through the survey. They are looking for a competitive, and DCED does want to see a good faith allocation in an entitlement if they are going to go ahead and submit the competitive, which would be due in February. So the commissioners today would need to select which projects they want to fund and the amount that they're going to fund them at.
Okay, thank you, Mitzi.
Mitzi,
Oh, go ahead.
this is
Commissioner.
Steve. I was just going to ask, that $8,000 for Eagle Creek, that's pretty much the good faith number that they need to be.
No,
Eligible
I'm
for
not quite
competitive?
sure. I'm not quite sure where the allocations came from. I think that what happened was that all of the projects just got put on your agenda and amounts got put in there. And the 4,000 for ER and 4,000 for labor compliance add up to that 8,000. And that is all that was on your spreadsheet previously when we did project review, because I didn't have a total yet from the HOA with the total amount of the project. So those allocations that you see on your agenda add up to way more than what you actually have. I think all the projects just got listed and an amount thrown in there. Unfortunately, most likely, if you fund your two projects from last year, your 2020 projects with their multi-year funding this year, that would be the Haynes Aaronsburg Municipal project and your Penn Township project. That would leave a balance of $52,392. If you did allocate that to the Eagle Creek project, that would be good faith to DCED. That is the balance of your non-multi-year funded projects, and that would allow them to submit a competitive application.
Okay, now I understand now. Okay, all right, thank you.
Sure.
And Mitzi, what's the timeline for us needing to make our final selections?
Unfortunately, today is your project selection day, and then the hearing notice gets put in the paper, and the final hearing is held in, let me look at the date here. Your final hearing is scheduled for July 21st. So today is slated to be the actual project selection where you do select your projects and the amounts so that the notice can get to the paper and run in the paper, the allocated amount of time that citizens have to comment before your final hearing.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so in terms of the breakdown of the projects, Mitzi, is there a recommendation, or in terms of how you score it? Are there any scoring or priority that you can help to provide to us in terms of, you might have just done it with how you broke it down, but how would you rank these projects or see them from a need?
Sure, Ray and I had discussed this, and it is very difficult because all of your projects are very worthy. But the recommendation would be to fund your two multi-year projects, which were your Haynes Aaronsburg project and your Penn Township project, and then throw that balance of $52,392 into Eagle Creek so they can go ahead and get their competitive. And then we can revisit and talk about the Woodward project with possible ARPA funds or Penvest or something to go ahead and get that project moving. And then look at the second Haynes Woodward project possibly next year for your 2022 CDBG application.
And if Eagle Creek would not receive the competitive, the 52,000 could be reallocated to other projects?
Correct.
Okay, all right. Is there any discussion or questions on those recommendations? They sound like sound recommendations and a good way forward, but any thoughts or other suggestions?
Well, I know we've taken a number of applications for this over the last few years. These federal funds are usually the difference between projects being finished and projects running under consent decrees for long periods of time. So Mitzi, you're saying if we use the bulk of our funds in the first two projects, those will be completed then?
Correct.
Bids. Is that based on current bidding prices?
That is based on current bidding prices, yes.
Okay, good. All right. Yeah, I'm noticing also, thankfully, we're funding some of the ones that affect more families. Some of these projects are a couple dozen families and some of them are several hundred. Yeah, those are my questions.
Okay,
I
thank you.
actually concur with the recommendation, so I'm fine with it.
Okay, excellent. Okay. All right. So again, these are what's on the agenda is all of the requests with different amounts, but we're just going to be funding again projects 1, 2, and a portion of 5 in the amounts listed by Mitzi. Okay. Any other questions before we look for the motion? Hearing none. Is there the motion?
Motion to approve the CDBG project selection as just discussed.
Second.
The CDBG projects for 2021 have been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. The motion is carried. Okay, Mitzi and Ray, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank
you.
Okay, we have next on the agenda is an MOU, and we're going to turn that over to Chris Schnur. Good morning, Chris.
Thank you and good morning. Just as a reminder, the MOU that's being presented today is a 3-party agreement between the developer, township, and the county, whereby the developer agrees to reimburse Benner Township in this case for the costs associated with the township engineers processing, reviewing, inspecting, and approving the engineering details of the plan. I have just a couple slides just to give a visual aid on the proposal that's being discussed today. So let me. Okay, so hopefully you have a slide up on your screen.
We do, yes.
Thank you. And the MOU that's being presented today is the Village of Nittany Glen. And this proposal represents a revision to previously approved preliminary plan for the Village of Nittany Glen, whereby these plans that are being looked at today and eventually at the County Planning Commission will now reflect a change in building type, specifically for Phase 7, whereby they're proposing 16 duplex buildings in lieu of single-family residences with corresponding infrastructure. The total build-out for the Village of Nittany Glen is proposed to contain 335 residential units, with 108 proposed units and 227 already approved for land development. And as you see on the screen, and to give an indication of where we are in Benner Township, at the bottom right screen is University Park Airport with Fox Hill Road. And if you end up going down Fillmore Road, you're going to make your way to the Village of Nittany Glen. And on the
If you go a little further, you're at Refarm Cafe, right? On the other side of the street?
That's correct. You are correct. I think it's somewhere in here, maybe.
I think it's roughly where it says Patton Township.
Township. Yep. And on the next screen is one of the plan sheets that was submitted by Pantera Engineering. And again, this is Fillmore Road. And as you make your way down, you're going to hit Fox Hill Road with the airport. And everything that you see highlighted in green are existing phases that have already been approved. There are 3 phases remaining, and the change that's being discussed is the shading in this area for Phase 7, where there was originally single-family units. They're now proposing duplex units. And that's the plan that is going to be brought. That's the MOU that's looked at today. And that's also the plan that's going to be brought before the Center County Planning Commission meeting at their July 20th. Thank you very much.
Chris, thank you very much. Any questions, comments on this?
In a way, it's nice to see they're moving to duplexes. That allows us to put more people in the same square footage. It reduces the infrastructure costs for the township and allows us to preserve our 1,000 farms for a bit longer.
And Chris, just out of curiosity, has a developer talked about price points for any of these duplexes? In terms of, has that conversation come up?
It has not, at least not with this office.
Okay, if it's possible, just out of curiosity to see where they're looking to put those, that might be of interest to us, just to, again, just see where they're coming in at.
Okay, I'll follow up.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions before we look to move the MOU to next week's consent agenda? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion?
Motion to add the MOU for the Village of Nittany Glen to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 The motion is carried. Okay, all right, Chris, thank you once again.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too, thank you. All right, for a third item under planning and community development, we'll turn it back to Ray Stalinas to see if there's any introductory remarks before we turn it over to Betsy Barton.
Sure. Thank you, commissioners. This morning, we're introducing, after two previous presentations to the commissioners regarding our Act 137 Housing Trust Fund and potential uses for that for a pilot project versus a rolling application, which I think we've achieved in Center County in the past for housing projects. This new program called the Construction Acquisition Rehabilitation for Sustainable Housing, otherwise known as the CASH program, will hopefully provide meaningful funds for construction of new rental owner-occupied housing, acquisition and rehabilitation of housing units for resale, or to rent, and land acquisition proposed for projects to be completed within a 2-year time frame. This is to benefit projects that serve individuals with a gross household income below 100% area median income for Center County. We've provided the commissioners for this program a press release to roll that program out today upon approval. We also have a written request application packet for potential applicants, and we have a draft grantee agreement upon announcement of eligible projects. Our timeline that we've set is rolling out today and accepting applications till Friday, July 30th at 5 o'clock. And then we would recommend awards to the Board of Commissioners and have an announcement on Tuesday, September 7th at 10 a.m. At a Board of Commissioners meeting. So I'll let Betsy add any additional information that she may want to at this point.
Thank you. Yes, I'm excited to see what going to develop from this. And once we get the approval of our statements and releases, I can send that out to our stakeholders. Be very interested to see what's coming in. I think Ray did a fantastic job of explaining what we have developed and for your pre-approval.
Okay, Ray and Betsy, thank you so much. As we all know, Act 137 money has been used for a variety of projects since starting here, the collection of it and the allocation of it back in the 90s. And it's helped many homeowners, first-time home buyers here in the county to secure housing. In addition, it's supported many affordable housing and sustainable housing and attainable housing projects throughout Center County. And so this is really a packaging of it that allows an equal opportunity for all housing developers in the area to be able to put their best projects in and to receive funding out of this. And so it just streamlines everything, makes it equitable again for all the developers, and hopefully it will attract more development going forward. So thank you for the overview, and we appreciate all the work that's going into this. We've had a few informational meetings on this, and today we're really looking to finalize it and get it out there. So I'll stop there to see if there's any other questions, comments from my colleagues, and then we'll look forward to taking a vote. Any questions or other for future discussion or feedback?
Sure. Betsy, I'd like to thank you and your predecessor, Linda Marshall, for all your hard work on the first-time homebuyers program. I know when I came into office, there were some years when we were running, 8, 9, 10 completed applications. Lately, I think we've been in the upper teens to lower 20s. So more than a doubling, which is fabulous. But even so, that program essentially self-funds as the mortgages from 10, 20, even 30 years ago are refinanced or the property sold. So we do have these additional Act 137 funds coming in that we can utilize to, I think the term is incentivize property developers to build affordable housing throughout Center County. So I'm very happy to hear that we're going to be announcing this to the entire construction community in Center County. In addition to the press release, are we going to be sending out emails perhaps to some of the developers that we've worked with before that we're aware have interest in this?
Yes.
Okay, good. Very good. Thanks.
That's a great program. I think this is a good way to administer it, and I think it's about as fair as you can come up with for distributing the funds that we receive through the Recorder of Deeds Office in Act 137.
Okay, all right, excellent. Thank you all for all the work on this. Looking forward to, again, seeing what kind of projects come our way. We'd look for a motion then to approve the notice of funding availability for the cash program.
I would like to make the motion to approve the notice of funding availability for the construction and acquisition rehabilitation for sustainable housing program.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any final discussion, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion has carried. Okay, Betsy and Ray, thank you once again. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, for our next item, we have a contract amendment with the Centers for Alternatives and Community Justice, or CACJ, and we'll turn it over to, I believe Natalie is going to handle this one.
Good morning. So on behalf of myself and Margaret, as we worked on this together, and it's under court administration. However, the Human Service Block Grant funding that we have through the state, as we have our year-end one-time availability funds, is partnering with CACJ with their new community conferencing program. So we are in a position to support this program that they have newly brought on board this year to assist people, whether it's reentry or neighborhood or through law enforcement, to support and promote the opportunities for people to figure out, mediate, and work through some of the issues that they might be presenting. And community conferencing is an evidence-based program, actually based out of New Zealand, that was brought here by the staff and are operating it here. And so this is an opportunity supported by everybody to help them as they start up this program. So the contract is amending it to include the $30,000 that will be received through Human Service Block Grant funding.
Okay, thank you, Natalie. Yeah, from a technical aspect, it's still going to stay within the court administration in terms of how it's regarded on the agenda. But in truth, like you said, it's coming out of the block grant and will be assisting people in the criminal justice system and also in the community with these conflict resolutions in mediation. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. I think we're doing a one-year funding to see how it goes. CACJ is very much aware of the fact that it's 1 year. It's at this time, and we're very interested to see how things go and the productivity and the outcomes. So, any other questions or comments on the contract amendment?
I'd just like to thank Margaret Gray, Natalie Corman, and their staffs and the court system for working through this and giving this a try, as Commissioner Pipe mentions, on a prototype basis. Hopefully this will be successful and well regarded in the community. But we need to see some evidence and some data to support a continuation of the program.
I think CACJ has done a tremendous job over the years, and I'm sure this program will be a success, and I'm proud to support it.
Okay, excellent. Okay. All right. At that, we will look for a motion to approve the contract amendment with CACJ.
Motion to approve the contract amendment with the Center for Alternatives and Community Justice.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? We're hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion has carried. Okay. Natalie, thank you again. Okay, and as we had actually mentioned during our Act 137 conversation, our Recorder of Deeds is a great partner with that program and collecting those funds, is joining us to talk about a contract amendment with Data Trace Information Services, or Data Trace for short. Good morning, Mr. Recorder. How are you?
Good, thank you for having me this morning. Data Trace was formerly known as Red Vision, and we've had a agreement with them for a number of years, and they've been a great partner. And just reminding the board here that this is a revenue contract, and we're getting revenue of $50 per month to provide them with images for recorded documents. Typically, they have been running around 400 to 500 images per month, and the agreement is to for them to get the images at 2 cents per image or $50 per month, whichever is greater. And they've never exceeded the number of at $50. So I recommend that the board approve the contract and put it on next week's consent agenda.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Any questions or comments on this item? Okay, we are hearing none. We would look for a motion then.
Motion to add the contract amendment with Data Trace to next week's consent agenda.
I will second that.
It has been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Seeing none and hearing none, all those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion has carried. Okay, thank you, Mr. Recorder.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we're going to turn into Human Services and turn it back to Natalie.
Morning again. So I have two contracts for MHID office. The first one is a contract addendum with Strawberry Fields. This is to specific to our residential services that they do and our housing support services. What our original allocation was for this year. They had additional costs that came in for it. And so we are increasing that amount by $65,000. So the total for them will be $1,234,584 for their large contract that they have with us, as we are 2 days away from finishing out this fiscal year.
Okay, thank you, Natalie. Is there any questions on the contract addendum? Okay, we look for a motion for contract addendum 2 then.
Give me just a second here to unmute.
See, oh, it looks like you're still on mute, Mark. Sorry.
There we go. Now, you can hear me now. Good.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Strawberry Fields is a great organization, so happy to approve the contract addendum 2 with Strawberry Fields, Inc.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on the approval? Hearing no further discussion. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Okay, and then we'll go to the second item there.
So this is a letter of agreement for mental health hearings with the city of Philadelphia for Philadelphia County. And really what this is on the rare occasion, which is not often, that we that a mental health hearing has to occur at SCI Rockview or SCI Benner for a resident who's originally from Philadelphia County. The cost of those services, right? We bear, the mental health resource officer, we bear the cost of the mental health hearing, and then we invoice the county of origin. And so Philadelphia is just asking us for that proposal in writing. So if it does happen, we can bill each other and invoice each other, correctly for the cost of those services that are accrued. Again, it's a very small amount, just based on Rockview current, mental health hearings that they do, since they actually moved their mental health unit off of Rockview. But we wanted to have it in case it does occur. We want to support Philadelphia County and their individuals if that happens.
Okay, thank you, Natalie. Any questions on moving this to next week's consent agenda? Okay, hearing none, we would look for the motion.
Motion to add the letter of proposal to DBHIDS to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Okay. Thank you very much, Natalie. All right, next we're going to turn it over to Dave for an item for transportation. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me here today. I come before the board asking for consideration to approve a contract amendment with our service provider for vehicle maintenance, Joe Confer Ford of Bellefonte. The original agreement back in 2018 allowed for 2 one-year extensions at the end of the 3 years, which is up tomorrow. And I asked the board to consider approving a 1-year extension at the rates that the original contract was written under, which is sort of unprecedented in these times. So not changing the rates and increasing them is huge. And they've done a very good job over the last 3 years servicing us. So I just asked for the board to consider approving that, please.
Dave, thank you. Any questions on this item?
Oh, sounds like we should approve it.
Okay, would there be a motion?
Motion to approve the contract amendment with Joel Confer Ford of Bellefonte.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is carried. Dave, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and then we're going to turn it back to Natalie one last time, I think, for the ESG CV2 update.
So this is on behalf of Adult Services. So last May, right, there was an opportunity to apply for additional emergency solutions grant funding. And so we had the opportunity to apply DCD again for this project. This continues to be our rapid rehousing program. And it's a program that we contract with Housing Transitions to support. So it's funding for shelter, it's funding for individuals to, find housing, immediate, as soon as we possibly can, as they face homelessness. And so Housing Transitions executes this program, but we do the agreement with DCED for the actual funding, which totals $182,691.
Okay, thank you, Natalie. Any questions on this additional funding through the CARES program? Okay, we're seeing none. Is there a motion?
Yep, it sounds great. So I'd like to make the motion to add the contract with the Department of Community and Economic Development to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on moving the contract to next week's consent agenda? We are hearing none. All those in favor then do so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Natalie, thank you again. Okay, and we're going to turn it back to Ray for this item here.
Sure, thank you, commissioners. This is a request for your consideration to approve and authorize online IDIS access for Tyler Dombrowski of CETA Council of Governments to access the IDIS program relative to our drawdowns under the Community Development Block Grant Program. Tyler is the new Community Development Director at CEDACOG and oversees our staff, who we just talked to, Mitzi Gallagher Long, and assists with those drawdowns for the CDBG program. So that's just an authorization for him to access that.
Okay, thank you, Ray. And Tyler is their finance officer, finance director?
He's the new Community Development Director.
Oh, Community Development Director. Okay, thank you. Just so we know what his title is. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Is there a motion to add this access request to next week's consent agenda?
Motion to add the IDIS online acquisition request form to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Okay, thanks, Ray.
Thanks again.
We have in front of us our consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve this week's consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion, questions, comments on any of the items on the consent agenda? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Okay. We have no ABC items today are letters of support, but we do have a liquid fuels application. We'll turn it over to Margaret for that one.
Very much. This morning, I'm requesting approval to submit a liquid fuels application to PennDOT from College Township for the installation of blank out signs to be installed on each College Avenue approach to alert motorists that a train is crossing in the amount of $11,000.
Thank you, Margaret. A definite safety need, so that'll be put to good use in College Township. We look for a motion to approve the submission.
Motion to approve the submission of College Township's application to PennDOT.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on the application? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Okay. All right, we'll turn it over to Margaret for an administrator's report today.
Just one item, a reminder that next Tuesday, July 6th, the Board of Commissioners will be meeting in person in room 146 in the Willow Bank Building. Today marks our last Board of Commissioners meeting, Tuesday Board of Commissioners meeting on a virtual platform for the foreseeable future. So we're looking forward to getting back to room 146 next Tuesday, July the 6th.
Thank you, Margaret. Yeah, we're all looking forward to that. So we'll see everybody in person a week from today. All right, we're going to go turn it over to Commissioner Higgins for the check run.
Sure, thanks, Mike. We have a check run in the amount of $1,769,650.86, dated June 25th. It's a little larger than average check run. I did pick a check of the week, actually two checks, to Strawberry Fields Incorporated, mentioned earlier in the agenda. In this case, it was for early intervention services for the month of May, totaling $19,949.26. So I would like to make the motion to approve the check run dated June 25th.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the check run. Any final discussion on the check run? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Okay, thank you, Commissioner. And we'll turn it over to Commissioner Dershowitz for a voter registration report.
All righty. This morning we have 105,025 registered voters in Center County. The Democratic Party has 44,097 registrants. The Green Party 136. Libertarian 687. No affiliation 13,949. And the Republican Party has 42,290, which when you add the 3,866, you get the total of 105,025. My feature minor party of the week is the Nonpartisan Party. The Nonpartisans have 97 registrants in Central County. My precinct feature today is precinct number 24. It votes at the Hub. That's State College East 1. In the last election, there were 8,520 registered voters. And let's see, ballots cast. There were 49 ballots cast in the last election, which leads to a voter turnout of 0.58%, which is probably pretty typical for a primary in which it's an off-year election. So, but the folks that make it happen is one of my favorite election workers, Albert Nakpool, is the judge. The minority inspector was Kyla Melanese. The majority inspector, Isabella Corman. And then the clerks are Allison Ivick, Madeline Morelli, and Maya Johnson. And again, thank you to Penn State for allowing us the opportunity to use their facility, and we will look forward to seeing you again in the fall. And that's my report for today.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. We do want to announce and remind everybody that, again, Center County government offices will be closed on Monday, July 5th in observance of Independence Day. So we wish you all a happy Independence Day and happy Independence Day weekend. Margaret, any executive sessions for us to report today?
No executive sessions to report today.
Okay, thank you. We have the balance of our public meeting schedule for this week and next. And we also do want to mention, listed on there, for Tuesday, a week from today, again, Tuesday, July 6th, we have our Human Services block grant public hearing, which will be virtually done at 5:30 p.m. that day. And then on Wednesday, Wednesday, this July 7th, there will be another virtual hearing at 9 a.m., again, virtual. So we just want to highlight those meetings, or I should say, public hearings. And we, at this time, will take any questions from the press before we look to adjourn. So any questions from the press today? Okay, we're hearing none. We'd look for a motion then to adjourn.
Excuse me, motion to adjourn at 10:40.
I will second.
It has been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor of adjourning, do so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all very much. Have a great day.
Thank you.